Hey, welcome back, folks. In this video, we're going to create and post-process the tool path for this cribbage board top. So if you haven't watched the previous video and made the cribbage board tops 3D model, go ahead and pause this one, go back and complete that first. If you have gotten to this point, you're going to open this up. Now, I've been getting some questions about opening up files when you're at your home screen. Under the unpinned projects, it should give you a look like this. So I can see this is the cribbage board top I want. Another way you could open this is if you came to File, you should have some recent documents here. And so mine's already open, so I'm just going to go to the cribbage board top tab at the bottom. Right, there's the file we were looking at. And just as a reminder, in the last video, we checked off this first box for our standard. This video, we're going to use the software to set up solid models in the CAM programming environment. We're going to create tool paths needed to efficiently produce the desired finished product using the CAM software. You're going to simulate tool paths using the CAM software. And then finally, we're going to post-process it. All right, so let's get going on those 4 boxes here. I'm going to click on my CAM tab, and the first thing I want to do is set this up. So we're going to do like we did before. We'll go to the setup folder. It's going to put a box around it. This X, Y, and Z, remember, is the origin for our project. And now that you've got some experience running the CNC router, it probably makes sense to you why we want that X, Y, and Z down in this lower corner. Okay. We're going to make this real easy on this one. If I come over to the model bar, I can drop down underneath. Oh, we're going to keep it at model orientation. But if we go to origin, we can go to model origin. Okay. And when I modeled this one, I specifically made this lower corner here fall right on the origin or the intersecting point for the X, Y, and Z axis. So that's all you got to do is change this drop box to model origin, click OK, and we've got our project set up. Okay? So we just checked off one of those boxes. Okay, now we're going to do this very similar to what we did in the past. We're going to say we want to drill first. So I'm going to come up to the drilling tool. I need to pick out a tool. And so I'm going to come in here and I want to use that same 1/2 inch end mill bit. So probably the easiest way is to go by type. Come over to this big long list and we're looking for our flat mill, and then I'm going to type in a dimension up top here of text contains, and I'll look for the 1/2. So here's that same end mill bit I used to create some tool paths already. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and then say select. So we got our tool picked. I'm going to change our plunge and our retract feed. We'll put those at 100 as well, just so that this goes nice and efficiently. And we don't have any coolant, so I'm going to disable that. Now I'll come to the geometry tab, and I can select my holes by picking their faces. There's only 2 here, so it's just as easy to click on those with my mouse. Okay, we're going to skip over this heights tab and go right to the cycle tab, and this should say drilling rapid out, right? Which it does. So I'm going to click on OK, and I don't want to lose my work, so I'm going to come up and hit the save button here. Right, now we're going to create a 2D pocket. Again, some people are telling me when they did theirs, they couldn't quite see the labels on here. I think some of that has to do with your screen size. So if you just hover over it, it'll tell you what the button is and what it does. You're looking for the 2D pocket. So I'm going to click on there. My tool is already picked, the 1/2 inch end mill. The coolant is disabled. My spindle speed and a couple of these speeds down here aren't filled in. So I'm going to go to ramp speed. Anything that says RPM, I'm going to type in 21,000 for. And then anything that says cutting feed rate, we're going to go with 75. Oh, I just got to make sure I type in 75 in the right spot. I'm just using the tab key to move over here. So we'll lead in at 75. We'll lead out at 75. Oops, not 745, just 75. Then we're going to come to our geometry. This is our pocket selection. So again, I'm going to click the bottom of this box. You can see it outlined it for me. Just like before, we'll skip the heights tab. We'll come to passes. I'm going to turn off stock to leave. I'll check the box next to multiple depths because I want to turn that on. I'm going to make my model bar just a little wider here so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to change my maximum roughing depth to 1/4 of an inch. And this is, again, one of those things we do to make this more efficient. This is going to cut a lot quicker if we take 1/4 inch of material off versus a few thousandths. And then I'm going to say use even step downs. Because if you remember in the last step we did, this box is 3/8 of an inch deep. So it's going to divide 3/8 of an inch by 2, again, to make this cut more efficiently for us as it processes on the router. Okay. None of these boxes down here should be checked. So I'm going to come up to my linking tab. I'm going to turn off my lead in. I'll turn off my lead out because we're cutting in wood, not metal. And then I'm going to change my ramp from a helix to a plunge. We'll go ahead and we'll say okay. Oh, and I did something wrong here in my cutting feed rate. So I'm just going to follow the clues it's given me. I'll come back and type in 75. We'll click OK, right? And it seemed to fix it. So now I've got my drill, I've got my pocket. I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to come down to this 2D contour tool last. All right, I've already got my tool picked. It remembered my preset speeds. So I come to contour selection. I want to pick the bottom of this circle. All right, that's the contour I want it to follow. And just like before, we're going to put some tabs on here. So let's change this view. If I go by distance, I want to just keep increasing this until I've got one tab connected to each corner here, which I do now. So that looks good. We're going to come into passes. All right, we'll go to multiple depths just like before, and we're going to change it from 39 thou to 1/4 of an inch. And just like before, we're going to say we'll uncheck rough final, and we'll leave it ordered by islands. So then the final thing we need to do is go to our linking tab, turn off the lead in, turn off the lead out. And we should be good to go. Let's click OK here. And what'll confirm that we're good to go is we're going to simulate this. So I'm going to come up to simulate now. I can see some blue lines, so that always instills some confidence. I'm going to go ahead and check this stock box, and that'll show me what the board looks like at the start. And then if I hit play here, this will simulate the Toolpath. All right, so far so good. It made 2 passes there. Now it's going and cutting around the outside edge. I would imagine this will take about 3 passes since it's 3/4 of an inch thick. All right, and it's doing a final pass. I can see it's leaving some tabs. All right, I feel good about that. I'm just changing the view so I can see. Ooh, you know what? We drilled all the way through here. So I goofed up in the last video. I wish I could say I did that on purpose, but I did not. We don't want to go through that top. So let's go back to our model bar. All right, and then we're going to come over here where it says hole. We got to fix this. We're going to double click on hole, and I want to go to a termination depth. All right, but I only want to drill that hole in 1/2 inch deep. So I'm changing this number here to 1/2 inch. We'll click OK. Let's go back to the cam tab. All right, now we got these little arrows or red X's here, and that's because we need to regenerate all 3 of these steps. And so I'm going to come to setup number 2. I left clicked on it. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to come down to generate all tool paths. All right, it seemed to clean it up. This is why we simulate things, so we can find errors in this environment. Let's go ahead and run it. I'm going to change the view as it's doing this. And I'm already feeling better. It did not drill through the top this time for those 2 holes. So I'm glad that we did this and we caught that mistake. And this looks like what I would expect to see. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll hit the save button to save it. Now we've just saved that fancy video. So our last step here is to post process. Okay. This remembered the Mach 3 mill from my last setup. So you check this box. If it doesn't say Mach 3 mill, you're going to click on this drop down and find the Mach 3 mill. And then remember, we're going to change our program name or number to something more specific to us. So I'm going to call this cribbage board top. And then I'm going to click the post process button down at the bottom. And it's going to call it again cribbage board top. It's saving it to my desktop now. I'm not too worried about this getting lost, being saved to my computer. It's just a few mouse clicks if I need to recreate it. The tool paths and everything else is saved in this file behind it, which is saved to the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. It's going to think a minute here and then spit out all that G code. So again, if you want to confirm, it should say cribbage board top. Your tool diameter should be 1/2 inch. The Z minimum should be 0. You should have a drilling operation, but 20 lines down. You should have a 2D pocket. And then if you scroll down to about line 100, you'll have your 2D contour cut. All right, so if it looks like this, congratulations, you've made it to the end. This could be saved to the USB drive and then cut out on the computer. If your code doesn't look like this, see if you can figure out what's wrong. If you've analyzed it, a friend has analyzed it, and you're still confused, then you can come find your instructor and see if we can figure out what the problem is. So best of luck to you. You're getting very close to the end of your project, so keep going.